From studios at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, this is Fourth and State. The state of Wisconsin is set to announce a major investment in Milwaukee's Central City. Wyman Winston, a leader in this effort, explains why in this edition of Fourth and State. I'm David Haynes. I'm editorial page editor of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and I'm joined today by Wyman Winston, who's the executive director of the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority. Wyman, thank you. Sorry I got your authority wrong there.
No, but everyone knows us as WIDA.
As WIDA, director of WIDA. Well, you're going to announce today, Monday, a new plan called Transform Milwaukee, along with the Department of Workforce Development and the Department of Children and Families. Mm-hmm. Can you summarize what you're going to be saying?
Well, the governor and I will be announcing a new initiative that's part of his efforts to produce 250,000 jobs. We're proposing to invest $100 million over the next 2 years in Milwaukee's Job Corps. This is the industrial core that runs through the city along the 30th Street corridor. Menominee right. Valley, over to the port, down to Mitchell Field and the old 440th. Mm-hmm. Our focus is to restore industrial and manufacturing jobs to Milwaukee, and to do that in partnership with the city, county on a collaborative basis.
Mm-hmm. And the city already has invested, I think, $35 million in the Century City project, which would be part of the industrial corridor. Are you working with the city on it, and how do you think how your plan will dovetail with what the city and the M7 and other economic development groups have?
We have begun work with the city. The city has asked us to focus on Century City and the 30th Street corridor, and we're
the old Tower Automotive plant.
The old Tower Automotive plant, and we're in complete support. They've just completed an economic development plan that is a pretty phenomenal plan, and our focus will be to hopefully be the partner that attracts new capital and invest our capital for plant and equipment, of which those companies that are recruited, that they will produce the jobs that will be available to Milwaukeeans who can virtually walk to this business core.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you've talked about with the plan is it's a holistic plan. It doesn't just deal only with clearing land or making loans or the financial aspects of economic development, but one of the other things you're going to be doing is working in the neighborhoods to work on the foreclosure issue.
Yes.
What do you envision your role there being? I think there's 8,400 foreclosed homes in the city right now.
Yes, and our approach will be to work with both, again, the city and the both nonprofit and for-profits that are actively working to try to provide a platform that we can address all of the properties that are either vacant, boarded, or foreclosed. Mm-hmm. Our thought is to have the ability to assist both existing homeowners, to work with nonprofits in providing them property, to have ways in which that property can be developed and providing the tools necessary to do that also.
Mm-hmm. And why is it important to work in the neighborhoods as well as in the industrial portions of the corridor?
Because the conditions of the neighborhood mirror the conditions of the industrial corridor, and while the industrial corridor, the workers have left, the neighborhoods surrounding Milwaukee's industrial spine, if you will, are neighborhoods that was built primarily to provide housing to that workforce. And as the neighborhoods have declined, and we've seen deterioration in housing, decline in income, and many other social indicators that have not been good for neighborhoods in the city, we've come to the realization that if we can reestablish work, can attract companies that produce jobs, that we can strengthen those neighborhoods. But we realize that if we attract companies and don't make physical improvements in the neighborhoods, it simply won't be enough. That we not only are looking to invest in encouraging industrial and manufacturing development in the industrial core, but we're going to work to improve the adjacent neighborhoods, to improve their physical look and the quality of housing and community, so that we have not only a transform industrial core, but can transform so many neighborhoods that are neighbors to the industrial core, which, as I said, were neighborhoods that were built in part to provide quality housing to the workforce that went to work in those companies.
And another piece of the plan is to help jumpstart some small business development in the neighborhoods. How do you envision that working? I think you said about $70 million might be
we're looking to
that.
invest $70 million in small business lending and in venture capital.
Okay.
Our approach will be to foster both small businesses and startups. The idea is to encourage innovation and encourage small businesses because, again, small businesses still retain the title of being the major job creator in the United States. And of course, Wisconsin has had a tough time in growing entrepreneurship, and many of these neighborhoods in Milwaukee even a tougher time. So we're focusing on ensuring that there's venture capital, small business capital there. We'll be doing that with our banking partners in providing both loan guarantees for small businesses, participation in loans with our community banks, as well as a venture fund that would be able to support new ventures that are starting up in the corridor.
About how big will that venture fund be? Do you know yet?
We're envisioning that the initial venture fund will start out somewhere in the range of $15 million of capital.
Okay. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how what you're doing dovetails with the other economic development groups in town, either the city or the M7, or even MAWIB, the Workforce Development Agency. Is there any risk of duplication here?
Well, that's a good question. Let me first talk about the key issue on duplication. WIDA is participating with M7 in the city in supporting and developing an economic development strategy both for the region and the city. If you will, a strategic business plan that can guide economic prosperity for both the region and the city that I think everyone realizes must work together to be successful in the global economy. Secondly, we're working in partnership as we develop and provide tools for investing in real estate and brick and mortar with the Department of Workforce Development, Children and Family, and our sister agency, the Wisconsin Economic Development Corp. Again, for workforce development and children and family, their focus will be how we improve human capital, the people who live there, how we improve the opportunity for them, for the people who live there to work and improve their skills to be able to work, in companion with our resources of providing capital and with the ability for EDC and M7 and others to recruit companies into the city around those areas that the city has unbelievable expertise both nationally and globally. Lastly, we're working with the city of Milwaukee. They are a key partner. We have a long history of working with the city in housing. We're now going to broaden that to include both traditional multifamily and single-family housing to now economic development and small business. They are a key partner. The work that we're doing cannot be done without their support.
Well, Wyman Winston, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it. Look for more details about the Transform Milwaukee plan in your Journal Sentinel at jsonline.com, and tune in next time for another edition of Fourth and State.